Hi everybody, today I am turning on my webcam and we're going to try a different kind of project. So what I want to do is I want to create some reaction GIFs for my students, and I can use these reaction GIFs in discussion threads. And I know there's a lot of stuff on the internet and you can search for GIFs everywhere, but for my students I want them to see me, and I want to have a little bit of fun with my class. And so I want to be reacting to the things that my students say. And so I'm going to be creating that just myself. And so I'm going to have post-production me put some examples of the GIFs that we're going to be creating. And they can appear here on the screen. And so these are the types of interactions that we're going to do. And I'm going to walk you through how I created these GIFs and how I put them into Canvas and what they look like in a Canvas discussion thread. So we're going to have a lot of fun. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to get rid of my webcam here, and let's search the internet a little bit. So I searched Google for reaction GIFs, and I'm just exploring this with you right now. I don't know what I'm going to choose, but I want to see some examples of what kind of reaction GIFs there are and maybe pick 3 of them. And so, you know, you have things like this guy, the blinking person. Now I wish that I could recreate this. That's an interesting one, but you know, this guy's reaction, pretty extreme. I probably can't do that. I don't have the charisma, and I'm probably not going to cry, but you know, maybe I can get some Michael Jackson eating popcorn, or Ron Swanson saying, "I'm proud of you," or or even a Sure Jan or something. Here's one that really resonates with me: Robert Redford nodding, you know, the classic GIF here. And so maybe I'll pick one of those. So something that I'm agreeing with my student. And yeah, so let's go ahead and have some fun with that. I'm going to minimize my screens real quick, and I'm going to pull up, I have Camtasia pulled up. So I'm going to be recording this in Camtasia, and you can use other software, video editing software. You might even be able to use Canvas Studio. I can't use Canvas Studio right now because I'm recording this video in Canvas Studio, but I'll record myself in Camtasia so that you can see what that looks like. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to record the screen, but I am going to record my camera. And so I'm going to turn that on, and then I'm going to select from the drop down my camera. So I have my integrated webcam camera, which has never been used, and my external camera. So I want to make sure that my external camera is set. And there I am. There's a preview of me. I don't need my microphone because I'm creating a GIF, and this is just an animated GIF, and so they don't need to actually hear me. And also I'm using the microphone to create the screencast, and so just turn that microphone off. The system audio, we also don't need that on, and so I'm just going to turn on my camera and I'll hit record. And so it's going to count me down, just like any of these platforms will count me down. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm not able to see my webcam, but I can see that my webcam is turned on, and so it's recording me, and so I'm going to have to do these looking straight at the webcam. And so you'll have to believe me. I have a little bit of a preview right here, so I can see myself in a tiny screen right there. But I'm just going to act out a few GIFs. And so one gift I'm going to say, I'm going to say when students have a really good idea, I'm going to point to my forehead. And so that will be one gift. And I'll just do that a few times. And so I'll be quiet now, and I'm just going to do that movement a few times. Okay, so I did that 3 times, and now another GIF that I'll want to do is the Robert Redford one. So I'm going to nod, a nod of approval. So let me try a few practices of a nod of approval. All right, and so I have one where I'm pointing to my forehead, one where I'm nodding approval, and so the third one that I think that I'll do is a shrug. And so, you know, I often use the emoji shrug in my phone, and I actually have a shortcut for the emoji shrug, and so that I can just type it out real fast. So I'm going to do a shrug. That could be good for if they're having a debate and you don't want to take sides, or if they're asking, teacher, what do you think? And you're not quite ready to get in there yet, and so you just want to shrug it off and let them keep talking. So I'm going to shrug a couple times. You could even think of this as the office. It's the Jim looking at the camera shrug. All right, so I tried a couple there. That also makes me think of the not Jenna Maroney, the Maroney, the gymnast, when she does her cricket smile, her shrug. I don't even know how she does that. All right, so I have a few reactions there. They might not be perfect, but I don't think they have to be perfect also. So I'm going to pull this up right here. So I have my recording. There's no audio track because I didn't record any audio. And so whatever tool you're using will probably look something similar to this, whether you're using After Effects or maybe Adobe Premiere or iMovie. In this case, it's Camtasia. You can even do this in Snagit as well. So I'm not doing it in Snagit. I want a little bit more control. All right, here's where I'm doing my my forehead. All right, so I'm going to cut out this first part. So you're seeing me behind the scenes. This is raw, unedited, and I'm just going to divide this into 3 different scenes. And I'm going to say, okay, so that was the first one. I did that about 3 times. All right, I'm going to break that up. In Camtasia, I just I press S on the control to split that up, or I can also right click. I think you can separate it that way. So now I was talking, and here I am starting to nod. And so I'm going to split that up. I'll delete this portion right here, and let's play. Right, there's a nod. There's a second nod. And I was closing my eyes for a little bit too much that time. All right, so that was a few nods. And all right, so let's break that up. So now I have some material for my second GIF. All right, so I did the nod, I talked through that, and now I'm in my last one. Oh, shrug. I'm gonna do a shrug. All right, so I'm gonna crop this over here. All right, and we're looking at some shrugs. That was a fun shrug right there. There's a fun one. That might be a keeper. Oh, that's a good one. I like that one the best, I think. So I'm gonna crop that down and just keep this last one. All right, so I'm just kind of playing with that. So let's start with that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move these other 2 up to this top track, and I'm going to hide that track. So they're still there, but I'm just going to focus on this one right here. And let's pull this back to the beginning, and I'm going to play it once more. So there's my shrug. All right, so now I have a shrug. It's not perfect, I would probably spend some more time making that a more perfect loop. So my first position and my last position would be exactly the same. But let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and export that. I'm going to save it as a local file. And so the settings that I'm looking at is I'm going to do a custom package, not something pre-rendered. So I don't want a 1080 or 480 movie. I want something that's custom. And on my next screen here, I want that to specifically be an animated file, a GIF, not an MP4 and not a video file. There's obviously no audio, so I can't make it an audio file. Select it as a GIF. And for the third frame rate, I'm going to choose 30. 30 is going to create a bigger file than otherwise, but this is only, I can see down here, it's only 2 seconds, so it's only going to be 60 frames. It is going to be very high resolution. It's going to be 1920 by 1080, which is a very large file, but it's only 2 seconds. And so you could reduce the frame rate. I would probably make the video smaller, perhaps. I'm going to enable dithering, and I'm going to loop it. Loop it infinitely. You can loop it 5 times if you want. I'm just going to loop it infinitely, and I'll press next. We could preview it. So let's preview the current settings. It's going to render it real quick, and so it's roughly going to be about 60 frames of 1080 resolution, and it's going to loop forever for all time and eternity. Oh, here it is. It's on my other. That's not too bad, actually. I might actually use that for real classes. Give them a shrug. All right, so I'm going to click next, and here's where I can change the video size. 1080 honestly is pretty big. I'm never going to share them a 1080 big picture of me shrugging. I think that's just too much of me, and so I might go for half of that. 540 perhaps. That might even be, that's almost 1,000 pixels wide, and I'm thinking probably I don't need anything more than 600 pixels wide or so. I'm going to maintain the aspect ratio. I'm going to click next, and then next again. I don't want a watermark. You could put a watermark if you wanted to have a little logo or something, maybe your school's logo, I don't know. I'm not going to change any of this information though. I'm just going to click next, and then we're going to figure out where do I want to save it. I'm going to save this in my tutorial right here, my tutorial folder, and I'm going to say this is my Shrug GIF, shrug.gif. I'll go ahead and save that, and let's go ahead and show the production results when it finishes rendering. It'll just take a second, and there it is. So now I can finish that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock this track now, and I'll drag my Shrug up to the top, and I'm going to bring the next one down, and I'll just hide that track. So when I export this, when I produce it, it doesn't export any hidden tracks. It only exports this track right here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we're going to find, let's watch through this together and see if I have a good loop. Oh, this is the one. I'm tapping my forehead. Like, good thinking. Good thinking, sir or ma'am. I don't like that middle one because I was looking away, and this one also I was looking away. So let me look again once more at the beginning, and maybe if I can find a good frame. I don't like my mouth is open there, and so I'm going to cut it right there. I'm just going to drag the end to the bar. All right, so let's try that again. All right, so I'm scrubbing forward, so I tap my forehead and recognize the person, and then I get real serious. So I'm going to cut it out right about there, right when my hand gets off. So I'm going to trim that down, and I think that's the loop that I'm interested in. Just so I can kind of cheat. This is kind of cheating. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to paste it maybe a couple of times, just so that I can play it and see what that would look like looped. It's not perfect, but I like it. I think that's kind of fun. So I'm going to keep that loop, and let's go do this again. We're going to export. I'm going to export it as a local file. I'm going to save it as a GIF. I'm going to have it 30 frame rate. I like that. I'm going to have it loop infinitely to reduce the file size. What did I have last time? 600 wide or so. So we'll go ahead and click next. I'm going to save it in the same folder, and this one is, I'll call it Good Thinking. And we'll finish that and render it up. All right, so let's grab this last one here. I will pause that. All right, so we're looking at this one. This is my nod of approval, right? That's not too bad. I know I created a few of them, but maybe I'll just stick with this first one. You can look through, so there's one nod, there's another nod. Maybe I'll even have two nods. Maybe I can start with this one. And I'll crop that off. I'll just cut off the end, and let's just go with that. Two nods, and it'll loop two nods. Do I want to do that? Let's go for it. All right, let's export that. So once again, local file, I'm going to save it as a GIF. I want it 30 frame rates, infinite looping. Let's make this one 600 like the other ones. And click next, and I'll put nod of approval. Yeah, let's see what that does. Finish that. We are going to render it, and then we'll hop over to a Canvas course and see if we can upload those. Let me just pull one up real quick. Let's see. Sandbox. Let's create a new page, and let's have this be a discussion, and let's call this the reaction Gifs discussion. And so I'll go ahead, put some instructions here. Let me just get some boilerplate text and maybe pull a picture. Let's put a picture somewhere in there. I don't know, what would reaction come up with on Unsplash? Eggs, why not? Let's put some eggs in there. I'm going to change those. Let's add some style to this, and let's put it as a width of 350 pixels. Let's float that to the right. And let's put some margin of 20 pixels all around it. And I'm even going to put a shadow. Let's do class equals, and this is tutorial stuff that we'd cover on another tutorial, but I'm going to put a class of shadow 1 and float that to the right, and let's go ahead and save that. Alright, so there's my picture. Maybe I'll put that picture at the top. We'll cut that. Alright, so basic instructions, and I'll put a header 2 instructions for the discussion assignment or whatever. And then I noticed this wasn't checked. Threaded replies. Let's do some threaded replies. We'll go ahead and save that. So here's my post, and I'm going to put 3 students are going to post, and so they're going to do. So here's that post, and then another student will post. Now it's not save view. And if I had thought, I would have done some prep work for this video, but we're just kind of rolling with it. All right, so I have 3 students did these posts, and now I want to react to these posts with my new GIFs. So this is a student, not me, and now I'm going to put on my professor hat, and let's go ahead and browse for those pictures. So I'm going to upload a picture, and we are going to look at the tutorials, reaction GIFs. So the first one is good thinking. Let's give that one a try. Good thinking right there. And it's just decorative. I'm going to mark it as it's only fun. We're going to wait a moment for this to upload. Usually in my videos here I do edit that kind of stuff out, but we're just live right now. Good thinking. All right. And you can make that, I don't know, maybe a little more fun. In fact, you know what I would do? So I know that this picture is, it's about 600 pixels wide, and so I'm going to center this, but I don't want it centered on the page. I want it centered above the thing here. So I'm going to put style. I'm going to put a div right here. Div style equals a width of 600 pixels, just like the picture is 600 pixels wide. And then I have good thinking right there. And I want to make that, I want to make it big. I want to make it an H3 for whatever reason. Or, you might not use a header. You might just style it with, the rich content editor. But so I want that to be centered right above the picture there. So I'm going to post that reply. And there I have my custom made an animated GIF, and it just keeps looping. And then I want to reply to this one. So let's do the same thing. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab that code just so I can do kind of the same thing there. I'll grab that, I'll cancel, and then let's reply over here. I'm just going to put in this code, except for the picture, I'm going to put a new picture in there. All right, so we're going to put that picture right here, and we did good thinking. Let's do a nod of approval. And I'm going to say, that's a really great point. And I'm just going to delete that little paragraph that I put in there. That's a really great point, and I'm going to wait for this to finish uploading before I post it. Alright, and there I am. It's not the highest resolution, you know, we're kind of tinkering on. You notice a little bit of, I don't know what you call that, dithering or artifacting. It's not super crisp like how we had on the original images, where this is high resolution. I'm shooting really with a 4K camera. In fact, let me take a moment to talk about my lighting situation here. So right now I'm shooting, it's late in the day, the sun has already set, and it's kind of cloudy, so the sky's a little bit darker. And so I do have a light here. This is a, I don't know, $100 internet light, Lume Cube, I think. So I did position that to give me a little bit of glow from this side, and I have some natural light. The sun set over there, but I still get natural light from this side, and I just use this little light to fill in the shadows, and so I don't appear so pale. It just gives me a little bit of volume, and in reality I probably should be lighting up my background just a little bit, and maybe and I'm starting to see it's getting a little bit grainy just because it's getting late in the day, so it's probably not the best time, honestly, to be recording a video like this, but it's fine, you know. And that's the thing, is all of this stuff doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to create a perfect loop that's just absolutely professional quality. You just need to be personal. So this adds a personal touch, a personal flair to your class. And so let's try one more. I'm going to put on put up another animated GIF. We have one more, and that was, I forget which one we did. It was the Shrug. That one's going to be a fun one, I think. And so I'll put that as a direct decorative text as well. And for this one, we can say, who knows? Yeah, so just have a little fun with that. You can delete that paragraph right there. Interesting. Interesting that you can see the code. There's an animated circle there, and so I'm looking at that code right there, but that'll be replaced with my picture once the picture finishes uploading. And it's going to be a little bit, you know, it's kind of a big file. Let me pull up the file so that we can see what we're looking at. And let's do the view, get the details so that I can really see the file size. And so we're looking at, good thinking is around 6 megabytes. And that's me pointing to my forehead, the nod of approval, because I actually did 2 cycles of nods. So that was a bit longer of a video. Let's see, that was around, that was about 6 seconds long, where the other ones were more like 1 or 2 seconds long. And so 6 seconds of 30 frames per second turns out to be a really big file. Now, if that's a concern for you, for one, try and make these as short as possible. But another thing you can do, let's play around with customizing this at perhaps a lower frame rate. So half the frame rate should give you half the file size for one. So let's keep it at 600. Let's keep it at 600 wide. But in reality, half the frame rate, yeah, it should be about half the size. And if I were to make this half of the width, that would actually be a quarter of the file size, because instead of 600 wide, it would be 300 wide, and it would be half as tall. So having the width actually quarters the file size, because and if likewise, if you double it, if I were to make this from 600 to 1200, it would make it twice as wide and twice as tall, which would make it 4 times the amount of pixels that it has to render, and so the file size would be significantly larger. So I'm going to keep it at the same width, and we're going to re-render this, and I'll call this test. So it's a lot faster there, and this was the large one. So we'll finish that up. Let me minimize this, and then you can see test was just about half of the file size. And it's not going to look quite as good, but let's upload both of them. This one's having a hard time uploading, so let me redo this. I don't know what's going on right there, but we're going to go ahead and upload both of those. So I'm going to upload Shrug for 1, and we're going to mark that as decorative. It could be that I was just hopping around from different editors too much, and perhaps when you upload the image, you just need to be a little bit patient and wait for it to completely upload. And I'm not even going to edit this out. This is live. We're just doing this together. We are here and we are live. And that's it. All right, so there's that. And then let's compare that to the test one. I'm going to click this, upload, test. We're going to submit. I'm going to wait for it to upload. Wait for this to all go away, the placeholder content, before you post the reply. Otherwise, you might cause some problems. And so that was about just under 10 megabytes. And so it's still going to take a little bit to upload as well. Oh, my test was in the nod one. That's right. I wasn't shrugging. All right. So, well, let's upload the nod just so that we can compare. I'm going to actually, well, we don't even need to upload that because it's already on here. So let's go ahead and go to the course images, and let's look for nod of approval. All right, and let's post. Let's see our new one. So the student says something, we say, who knows? And there's my shrug of approval. I kind of like that, you know? And then here are my 2 nods. And so one is this top one is 15 frames per second. And you know what? That's fine, I think. I can tell on my end that the second one is a bit sharper than the first one. I can tell a difference, but is it worth a file size that is twice as large? That's the question that you have to ask, because the students are going to have to be loading this maybe on mobile devices, on computers, whatever it be. Yeah, they're going to have to be, you know, loading that up, and so it might be better for their bandwidth if you get something that's a little bit a reduced frame size. It doesn't have to be high resolution. You can tinker with it, and so this is how you can really have some fun. GIFs are great, and reaction GIFs are great, but why do you use other people's GIFs when you can just create your own? Your students are going to love it. You're going to have fun. It's going to add to engagement. It's going to make the class really personal, and they're going to really have a good time with this, especially if you're teaching in the K6, K5, or even K12 arena. I think that you should just be doing all of your own GIFs from now on. Don't ever get stuff from the internet. Just do your own stuff, and you're going to be a celebrity, and you're going to be a rock star teacher. And so if you have other questions, leave them in the comments below. Let me know. Did I miss anything? Anything that you would suggest? Anything that we could be doing better? Any suggestions for other GIFs that you've done? Make your own GIFs and share the links to them with us in the comments, and we can have a discussion there. And the most important thing is you got to subscribe to this channel, because we're having a lot of fun. Don't want you to miss any of the content. And so yeah, join us next week. New videos drop every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So make sure to catch those, and I will see you next time.
Happy teaching and learning.